Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath. Peace to the scattered sheep of Israel across this God-forsaken planet. Yeah, I'm talking to you. Sitting in Brooklyn, standing in Sao Paulo, walking through Johannesburg, hustling in London, surviving in Port-au-Prince, grinding in Atlanta, suffering in Kingston. All you so-called minorities, people of color, blacks, African American, Afro-Latinos, wake the hell up, family. We back again for another sermon in Yah's holy book. Now look, I know what you're thinking. Here go another preacher talking that talk again. But family, this ain't your mama Sunday morning feel-good message with the choir humming in the background while the pastor tells you to just have faith. While you drowning in bills, dodging bullets, watching your kids get miseducated in these Babylonian school systems, family, what I do is real. What I do is raw. This is the truth that's been hidden from you by the same people who put you in chains, renamed you, stripped your heritage, and then handed you a white Jesus picture and told you to pray your troubles away. Today we are diving into Exodus 22, family, and I'm warning you right now, this chapter is about to shake everything you knew about law and order. No, it ain't talking about the TV show. Sorry, family. Da-dum. No. This is about the Most High's justice and what the hell it means to live as Israel in the midst of these nations today. This ain't just ancient history, family. This is your story. This is our story. And when we done, you gonna see exactly why our people been catching hell from the Nile to the Mississippi, from the Cape to the Caribbean. So let's get into it. Verse 1. If a man shall steal an ox or a sheep and kill it or sell it, he shall restore 5 oxen for an ox and 4 sheep for a sheep. Right off the bat, family. Most High establishing something. These crackers, these European colonizers never gave a damn about when it came to us. Restitution. You steal from Israel, you don't just give it back. You pay multiple times what you took. 5 for 1, 4 for 1. That's the standard. Now think about this in modern terms, family. Our people, the true Israelites, were stolen from the coast of West Africa, which was ancient Judah relocated, but that's another sermon. We're talking about the transatlantic slave trade from the 1500s to the 1800s. Approximately 12 to 15 million so-called Africans were kidnapped and forced into chattel slavery. But the actual number is higher when you count those who died during the Middle Passage. According to Deuteronomy 28:68, family, and the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships, by the way whereof I spake unto thee. Thou shalt see it no more again, and there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you. Egypt means bondage, family. We went back into slavery on ships. Show me another people that fits that prophecy. I'll wait. Now these Europeans stole our labor, our bodies, our culture, our names, our lives. But according to Exodus 22:1, if the Most High's law was in effect, they would owe us 5 times what they took. But what did we get? 40 acres and a mule? We didn't even get that. And they promised that to us. That promise got snatched back quicker than a white woman clutching her purse when she sees her brother in the elevator. Leviticus 6:4-5 says, Then it shall be, because he hath sinned and is guilty, that he shall restore that which he took violently away, or the thing which he hath deceitfully gotten. He shall even restore it in the principal, and shall add the fifth part more thereto. The law is clear, family. Thieves must restore with interest. But America, Britain, France, Spain, Portugal, Brazil, These nations built their entire economies on stolen labor and never paid a damn dime. The Industrial Revolution, built on cotton picked by Israelite hands. The wealth of the Caribbean, sugar plantations watered with Israelite blood. The riches of Brazil, gold mines where Israelites died by the thousands. In 2013, family, you can go look it up, the Caribbean Community, or CARICOM, as they abbreviate it, they launched a reparations commission demanding payment from European nations for slavery and genocide. And you want to know what these motherfuckers did? They laughed. And they still laughing today. Because they know they can't pay what they owe, family. The debt is too astronomical. But the Most High keeps perfect records. And payday is coming. So when you operate outside of the Most High's law, you build your house on sand. These nations think they got away with it. But Matthew 7:27 says, and the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat upon that house, and it fell, and great was the fall of it. Babylon, family, is falling. You can see it now. Look at the economic collapse. Got the government shut down over here in America. Got the economies in the other countries tanking. Moral decay all over the world. Societal breakdowns in every country. Riots. That's what happens when your foundation is theft and murder. Verses 2-3, Exodus 22. If a thief be found breaking up, and be smitten that he die, there shall be no blood be shed for him. If the sun be risen upon him, there shall be blood shed for him. For he shall make full restitution. If he have nothing, then he shall be sold for his theft. So listen carefully, my black people. The Most High said if somebody breaking into your house at night and you kill them in self-defense, you ain't guilty of murder. Because at night, you can't see their intentions. You protecting your family, your property, your life. But if it's daytime, you can clearly see what's happening. You're supposed to capture them alive so they can make restitution to you. Now let's bring this to 2025, family. How many of our brothers are sitting in prison right now for defending themselves? I'm talking about cases like Marissa Alexander, Florida in 2012. A black woman fired a warning shot at her abusive husband. Nobody died. Nobody even got hurt. She got 20 years. 20 years, family. Meanwhile, George Zimmerman stalked and murdered Trayvon Martin and walked free. How is that justice? Centoya, hard to pronounce his name, Centoya Brown, Tennessee, 2004, kidnapped as a child, forced into sex trafficking, and when she killed her rapist in self-defense at 16 years old, they gave her life in prison. Can you understand that? Life! She served 15 years before finally being released in 2019. You also got CeCe McDonald, Minnesota, 2011. A transgender black woman was attacked by racists who cut her face with a glass bottle. When she defended herself and her attacker died, she went to prison. Interesting how that works. You see the pattern, family? When Israel defends itself in these nations, we are criminalized. But when they kill us, justify shooting. Stand your ground. Fear for my life. Proverbs 24:11-12 says, if thou forbear to deliver them that are drawn unto death, and those that are ready to be slain, if thou sayest, behold, we knew it not, doth not he that pondereth the heart consider it? And he that keepeth thy soul, doth he know it? And shall not he render to every man according to his works? The Most High sees everything, family. Every lynching, every police murder, every wrongful conviction, and he's keeping score. These crackers ain't going nowhere. In South Africa, during apartheid, black South Africans, many of whom are Israelites from the Limba tribe and other scattered groups across the continent, were imprisoned for defending themselves against white supremacist violence. Nelson Mandela spent 27 years in prison, partly for armed resistance. But the white government that murdered thousands, they called it maintaining order. In Brazil, the military police kill on average 6,000 people a year, most of them black Brazilians, 84%, according to last year's statistics. When these communities defend themselves, they're labeled criminals and gang members, but they're Israelites living in modern-day Egypt, trying to survive. So the spiritual lesson here, family, is that the Most High's law protects the innocent and the defenseless. Man's law protects the powerful and the oppressor. That's the difference. Under Yah's law, you got a right to defend your home, your family, your life. Under these Gentile nations' laws, your life don't matter unless you got money, status, or the right skin color. And y'all know that's the truth, because I know you're shaking your head right now. You know it's the truth. Verse 4, look at this. If the theft be certainly found in his hand alive, whether it be an ox, or ass, or sheep, he shall restore double. So if the stolen property is recovered intact, the thief only pays double instead of 4 or 5 times. That's mercy mixed with the justice. The property ain't destroyed, so the penalty ain't as severe. But here's the thing, our people's property, culture, and identity was not returned intact, family. It was destroyed. Our language gone. Our original names erased. Beat out of us with the whip. Our connection to the land severed. Now you got imposters over there claiming to be us. Our knowledge of self stolen and replaced with lies. Think about the Benin bronzes, family. Thousands of artifacts that were looted by the British from the Kingdom of Benin, which is modern-day Nigeria today, in 1897. These priceless pieces of Israelite history sat in European museums for over 120 years. In 2021, some started being returned, but the damage has already been done, family. Generations grew up disconnected from their heritage because of these crackers. The same thing happened with Ethiopian artifacts taken by the British in 1868 during the Battle of Magdala. The Magdala treasures, including sacred manuscripts and royal items, are still in British museums today. Ethiopia, which is ancient Kush, connected to Israel through Psalm 68 and 31, which says, "Princes shall come out of Egypt, Ethiopia shall soon stretch out her hands unto Yah," has been begging for their return. But they ain't gonna get it back. We know how these crackers are. They want to profit off your culture. Joel 3, 1 and 2 says, "For behold, in those days, and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, and I will gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Jehoshaphat, and will plead with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel." Where's the other nations in this, family? Where's the other nations here? He said, "I will plead for my people and for my heritage, Israel." That's who he pleading for. He ain't pleading for y'all crackers. So stop trying to be included into this story. Y'all got judgment on your heads. "Whom they have scattered among the nations and part of my land." The Most High said he's going to gather all nations and judge them for scattering Israel and dividing up our land. That's a promise, family. These museums holding our artifacts, they're witnesses to their own crimes. So the lesson here, family, is that stolen property must be returned with compensation. But when the property is destroyed or the damage is irreparable, the penalty is much greater. These nations can't undo the Middle Passage. They can't bring back the millions who died. They can't restore the languages and cultures they erased. So the restitution they owe is massive, beyond calculation. That's why you ain't gonna get no reparations from these heathen Israelites. So stop trying to ask for it. They can't pay it back. It's too much. It's got to be paid back with blood. And they ain't ready to pay that. Exodus 22 and 5 now. "If a man shall cause a field or vineyard to be eaten, and shall put in his beast, and shall feed in another man's field, of the best of his own field, and of the best of his vineyard shall he make restitution." This is about negligence here, family. If your animal gets loose and destroys somebody else's crops, you can't just give them whatever garbage you got lying around. You got to give them the best of what you have. Now let's talk about environmental racism and how our communities have been destroyed by negligent policies and corporations. Y'all know about Flint, Michigan. All the way from 2014 to now, a majority black city was poisoned with lead-contaminated water because the government switched water sources to save money. Children got brain damage. People died, and what did they get? Some bottled water and empty promises. According to Exodus 22 and 5, they should get the best water system money could buy, top-tier health care for life, and financial compensation that matches the damage done. Are they gonna get that, family? If it's up to these heathen, they ain't gonna get a dime. But you also got this other city here, Cancer Alley, Louisiana. What is this, you may ask? It's an 85-mile stretch, family, along the Mississippi River, where predominantly black communities are surrounded by over 150 chemical plants and refineries. The cancer rates are through the roof. These corporations let their pollution graze in our neighborhoods, destroying our health, our property values, and our lives. Where's the restitution for that? Nowhere to be found, family. The land remembers the blood, though, family. In Numbers 35 and 33, it says, "So ye shall not pollute the land where ye are, for blood it defileth the land. And the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it." So the land remembers the poison. It remembers the blood. The land remembers the injustice. And guess what? It's going to require payment. That means y'all going to die. That's the payment that the Most High is going to render on y'all heathen nations all over the world for what y'all did to his people. Y'all going to die. Life for life. In the Niger Delta, now we're talking about globally, in the Niger Delta, Nigeria, Shell Oil and other companies have been spilling oil and destroying the environment for decades. The Ogoni people, who have Israelite heritage based on migration patterns and cultural markers, have had their fishing waters destroyed. Their farmland has been polluted. Their air poisoned. Ken Saro-Wiwa, an Ogoni activist, he was executed by the Nigerian government in 1995, look it up, for speaking out. Where's the restitution for the best of the land they destroyed? Nowhere to be found. So the lesson here, family, is when you damage what belongs to someone else through negligence or greed, you owe them the best of what you have, not your leftovers. But these nations and corporations keep giving our people crumbs while they feast on the wealth extracted from our suffering. But family, a flip is coming. They're going to give it all back with interest. So you wait, you hold on, family. Be calm, endure. The tables will flip. And if you die before it happens, Most High gonna raise your back up. So keep the faith alive and stay on the narrow path. Don't allow what these people do to sway you to vengeance. The vengeance belongs to Yah and Yah alone. So let him deal with it. Nothing wrong with speaking the truth like I'm doing right now. But the vengeance is in his hands. So verse 6 here. If fire break out and catching thorns, so that the stacks of corn or the standing corn or the field be consumed therewith, he that kindleth the fire shall surely make restitution. Even if the fire was accidental, if it spreads and destroys another person's property, you are still responsible. You started it. You pay for the damage. Now let me tell you about some fires that were started and spread, destroying Israelite communities across the globe. Tulsa Race Massacre. Y'all remember this? 1921, the Black Wall Street in Greenwood, Tulsa, Oklahoma, was the wealthiest black community in America at the time. White mobs, deputized by the city and aided by the police, dropped bombs from airplanes and burned 35 city blocks to the ground. Over 300 black people were murdered. Thousands were left homeless. Businesses were destroyed. Wealth was erased. But according to Exodus 22 and 6, Those who kindled that fire owe full restitution. But what happened? Nothing. Even today, no prosecutions, no reparations, no justice. In fact, the city buried the history for decades. It wasn't even taught in Oklahoma schools until recently. How barbaric is that? But we're not done. The move bombing in Philadelphia. In 1985, the Philadelphia police dropped a bomb on a black liberation group's house, killing 11 people, including 5 children, and destroyed 61 homes. The fire was allowed to burn, family. The neighborhood was devastated. Where's the restitution for this? Amos 5 and 6 says, "Seek Yah, and ye shall live, lest he break out like fire in the house of Joseph and devour it, and there be none to quench it in Bethel." The Most High warns that his judgment will come like fire if justice ain't served. These nations think they escape consequences, family, but the fire of judgment is coming for them. Now let's look at it globally here. In 2017, the Grenfell Tower in London, which is a public housing building with predominantly black and immigrant residents, caught fire due to negligent use of cheap, flammable cladding on the house. 72 people died, family. The government and the companies responsible for the building's maintenance knew the materials were dangerous, but used them anyway to what? Save money. That seems to be everywhere, huh? All these corporations, everybody trying to save money. They're cutting corners at your well-being. That's not an accident, family. What happened here? That's criminal negligence. Where's the restitution for those families? Nowhere to be seen. So whether intentional or accidental, the lesson is if you cause harm, you are responsible. The intent might affect the degree of punishment, but it don't erase the debt. These governments and corporations can't hide behind "we didn't mean to" when they knew exactly what they were doing. But as I said, judgment is coming. Every day you see it. When the stocks fall. When inflation goes through the roof. When riots pop up. And social instability comes about. That's the judgment. 7 through 8, Exodus 22. If a man shall deliver unto his neighbor money or stuff to keep, and it be stolen out of the man's house, if the thief be found, let him pay double. If the thief be not found, then the master of the house shall be brought unto the judges, to see whether he have put his hand unto his neighbor's goods. This is about trust and stewardship here, family. If somebody trusts you with their property and it gets stolen, you better prove you ain't the one who took it. If you can't prove it, then you liable. Simple. Now let's talk about breaches of trust against our people. The Freedmen's Savings Bank from 1865 through 1874. After the Civil War, freed slaves deposited their hard-earned money into this bank, trusting the U.S. government and white-run institutions to keep it safe. The bank collapsed due to fraud and mismanagement. Over 60,000 black depositors lost everything, about $3 million, worth hundreds of millions today. No restitution, no justice. Our people trusted and they got robbed. No restitution, nothing. These crackers, boy, they got hell to pay, family. You also had the Tuskegee syphilis experiment that happened between 1932 to 1972. Our people trusted the U.S. Public Health Service when they said they were getting free health care. Instead, 600 black men were deliberately left untreated for syphilis so white doctors could study the disease's progression. Men died, families were infected, the trust was violated for 40 years. Where is the justice and restitution for this? They still have not paid for this. But guess what? It's recorded. And it's going to come back on these heathens' heads, as it's doing right now. Look at them all dying of cancer. Look at them. Every time I see one of them dying of stage 4 cancer, all praises and great glory to the Most High Yah. Die! Oh my God, that's so horrible. You're so harsh. Oh my God, that's so evil. No, it ain't. Justice is justice. Psalms 12, 1 and 2 says, help Yah, for the godly man ceaseth, for the faithful fail from the children among men. They speak vanity, everyone with his neighbor. With flattering lips and with a double heart do they speak. These nations, they speak with flattering lips. We here to help you. Trust us. We got your best interests. But they got double hearts, family. They plotting on you the whole time. In the Windrush scandal, I know I keep talking about this, but it bears mentioning again. In 2018 in the UK, Black Caribbeans who were invited to Britain after World War II to rebuild the country were suddenly declared illegal immigrants and deported or denied services despite living there legally for decades. They trusted the British government's promise of citizenship and belonging, and that trust was betrayed. No one has been held liable for this. In Australia, the stolen generations, Aboriginal children who are also connected to Israel, but that's a whole deeper study. They were taken from their families and placed with white families to breed out their blackness. Whew. They trusted the government, social workers, who said they were helping. Instead, they were being erased. How evil are these heathens? But yeah, y'all still want to marry them. Y'all still want to have babies with them. Y'all still want to shack up with them and call them your friends. And you see what they people do all over the world. You are a coon. A disgrace in the eyes of Yah. He told you don't mix with these people. What has darkness with light? What communion? They in darkness, family. Why are you communing with these people? But it is what it is. The judgment they get is going to come on your head too, black man, black woman. You want to be in proximity to them? Guess what? You're going to get their judgment too. All praises for that. So the lesson is, when trust is violated, there must be accountability. You can't just say, my bad, and move on. The judges, the Most High being the ultimate judge, must determine guilt and assign restitution. But you know, these heathen, they protect each other. They don't even acknowledge their crimes, family, let alone make them right. Good luck in trying to get them to take blame. Good luck! We've been trying to get them to take blame for slavery, but they keep telling us to forget about it over here. But it's all good. The Most High gonna bring it back to them. When the kingdom come, they gonna be slaves again. But we ain't gonna beat you back. Oh, no, sir. Most High just gonna go ahead and destroy you. You don't want to listen? Most High just gonna go ahead and destroy you. Perish off the earth. Goodbye. We don't need to whip you. Most High take you out of existence. See you later, alligator. Verse 9 here. For all manner of trespass, whether it be for ox, for ass, for sheep, for raiment, for any manner of lost thing which another challengeth to be his, the cause of both parties shall come before the judges, and whom the judges shall condemn, he shall pay double unto his neighbor. So every type of dispute about property must be brought before the righteous judges, and whoever is found guilty pays double. But here's the problem, family. Who are the judges over Israel and these nations today? Wicked men who don't follow the Most High's law. That's who. So we can't get justice in their courts. Y'all remember the Central Park Five in 1989? 5 black and Latino teenagers were falsely accused of raping a white woman in New York. They were coerced into false confessions, convicted, and spent between 6 and 13 years in prison. In 2002, the real rapists confessed, and DNA evidence exonerated them. They finally got a $41 million settlement in 2014, but that don't restore the years stolen, the trauma endured, the lives that were destroyed in the process. Their reputation is gone. So according to Exodus 22:9, those prosecutors cops and judges who bore false witness should pay double. But are they? Have they? No. Most of them face no repercussions. Some are probably still working in the system today, destroying more lives. But it's all good. The Most High know who they are. And judgment on the way. Exodus 23, 6 and 7. Thou shalt not wrest the judgment of thy poor in his cause. Keep thee far from a false matter. In the innocent and righteous slay thou not, for I will not justify the wicked. The Most High said, don't pervert justice for the poor. Don't participate in false accusations. But that's all these nations do when it comes to our people, to black people around the world. In South Africa, during apartheid, the courts were used as weapons against black South Africans. The Rivonia trial, which happened in 1963 to 1964, it convicted Nelson Mandela and other anti-apartheid leaders on charges of sabotage and conspiracy. They were sentenced to life in prison for fighting against oppression. The judges who condemned them were the real criminals, but they never paid a dime. But it's all good. Y'all don't forget. In Jamaica, the Coral Gardens incident, which happens in 1963, resulted in hundreds of Rastafarians being arrested, beaten, and tortured based on false accusations. The government issued an apology in 2017, 54 years later. But where's the double restitution? They just said, my bad. And then they were expected to just let it go? But then they call us angry when we talk about this type of stuff. And demand restitution. And demand more accountability. They call us savages. You're just angry. You guys are always angry. Why are you guys always angry? This is righteous anger, cracker. So the lesson is that justice requires righteous judges. Key word, righteous, who follow the Most High's law, not man's corrupt systems. Until Israel is restored and Yahushua returns to set up his kingdom with real law and order, we are stuck dealing with kangaroo courts that were designed to oppress us from the jump. We just got to endure the nonsense, family. We just got to endure. That's the only thing we can do until the Most High destroy this place. Exodus 22, 10 through 13 says, if a man deliver unto his neighbor an ass or an ox or a sheep or any beast to keep and it die or be hurt or driven away, no man seeing it, then shall an oath of Yah be between them both, that he hath not put his hand unto his neighbor's goods, and the owner of it shall accept thereof, and he shall not make it good. And if it be stolen from him, he shall make restitution unto the owner thereof. If it be torn in pieces, then let him bring it for witness, and he shall not make restitution for that which is torn. This is about proof, family. If an animal dies under your care and is due to circumstances beyond your control, like a wild beast attacking it, and you got proof, you ain't liable. But if it was stolen because you were negligent, you got to pay. So let's apply this. The foster care system that exists today. Our children are taken from their families at much higher rates than white children, even when circumstances are similar or better than white families. In 2019, black children made up 14% of the U.S. child population, but 23% of children in foster care. These children are placed in the care of the state. And what happens? Abuse, neglect, trafficking, death. In 2020, Tyrese Tillman, which was a 6-year-old black boy, was beaten to death by his foster mother in Georgia. Where's the accountability here? The state took custody, failed to protect him, and he's dead. Where's the restitution? The accountability, where is it? So according to these verses, the state is held liable. They took custody, they were negligent, and that child was torn in pieces by their wicked system. Where is the restitution to his family? There is none. even to this day. 5 years later, still to this day. Ezekiel 34, 2-4 says, Woe be to the shepherds of Israel that do feed themselves. Shall not the shepherds feed the flocks? Ye eat the fat, and ye clothe you with the wool. Ye kill them that are fed, but ye feed not the flock. The diseased have ye not strengthened, neither have ye healed that which was sick, neither have ye bound up that which was broken. These governments are supposed to be the shepherds, caring for the people, especially the vulnerable, but they are wicked shepherds who devour the sheep for their own gain. In Canada, the 60s scoop, which is from the 60s to the 80s, saw over 20,000 indigenous children, many with Israelite bloodlines, but often categorized as Aboriginal, forcibly were removed from their families and placed with white families or in institutions. Many suffered abuse, lost their culture, and some died. In 2017, survivors were awarded a $750 million settlement. But that don't bring back the dead or restore what was stolen, heathen. In Australia, similar policies continue into the 1970s. The trauma still affects those communities today. The government took custody. The children were harmed or killed. Where's the full restitution? Still nowhere to be seen, family. See what happens when you bring out the receipts. This is what the people run away from. When you bring out the receipts, that's when the heathen run away. I back it all up, family. Not only do I got the scriptures, but I got the receipts to back it up. The lesson here is when you accept responsibility for somebody else's well-being, you are accountable for what happens to them under your care, heathen. If harm comes through your negligence, you owe. But these nations take our children, destroy them, and then shrug like, what you want us to do about it? You know exactly what we want, but you won't do it. Because the Most High don't want you to do it. Because the Most High want judgment on your head. (14 - 15), Exodus 22. And if a man borrow aught of his neighbor, and it be hurt or die, the owner thereof being not with it, he shall surely make it good. But if the owner thereof be with it, he shall not make it good. If it be an hired thing, it came for his hire. So if you borrow something and it gets damaged while it's in your care alone, you got to replace it. But if the owner was present when it happened, or if you paid to use it, like renting, the responsibility is different. But here's the thing, family. These nations didn't borrow our labor. They stole it. But let's even imagine, even if they tried to claim it was a work arrangement. According to verse 15, if it was hired, paid labor, then the payment covers the risk. But we wasn't paid. Chattel slavery was unpaid labor. So not only do they owe for the theft, in Exodus 21 or 22, verse 1, 5 times of that, they also owe for the damage done to the bodies and lives of the enslaved Israelites. So let's give you a modern example here, family. The convict leasing system, which was post-Civil War through mid-1900s, in the American South was essentially slavery rebranded. Black men were arrested on bogus charges, vagrancy, loitering, etc., etc. And then they were leased to corporations to work in mines, on railroads, in lumber camps. They were worked to death. Companies like U.S. Steel, Tennessee Coal and Iron, and others made millions off this unpaid labor. These corporations borrowed our people through the corrupt legal system at the time and worked them to death. Where's the restitution to the families? Some of these companies still exist today, thriving off wealth that was built on our ancestors' bones. And they got a nerve to say, well, we didn't do nothing. We did nothing. No, we didn't do anything. Leviticus 25:39-43 says, And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor, and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant, but as an hired servant, and as a sojourner he shall be with thee, and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shalt fear thy God. Even if an Israelite had to sell himself into servitude due to poverty, the law protected him. He was to be treated as a hired worker, not a slave. And in the year of Jubilee, he goes free, and his debts are forgiven. But what did these nations do? They treated us with rigor, brutality. No Jubilee, no freedom, just generational bondage. Where's the restitution? In the Belgian Congo, late 1800s, early 1900s, if you guys don't know about this, King Leopold II of Belgium enslaved the Congolese people, many of who was Israelites that scattered into Africa, to harvest rubber. Those who didn't meet the quotas had their hands cut off. An estimated 10 to 15 million people died. Belgium borrowed the labor in the land. The people were destroyed in the process. Where's the restitution? Belgium is one of the wealthiest countries in Europe, and Congo is one of the poorest. Despite being rich in natural resources, over $24 trillion worth, by the way, family. You can look it up. That's theft, and the debt is still owed. So the lesson is, whether you borrow or hire, you are responsible for what happens under your care. But theft and slavery take that responsibility to another level. You can't just damage or destroy people and walk away, crackers. The Most High Law demands payment, and guess what? That payment gonna be in your blood. All praises and great glory. I love seeing y'all die in the news. I love it. Eaten by crocodiles. Mauled to death by dogs. Oh my goodness, I love to see it. Cancer, fentanyl deaths. All praises and great glory to the Most High Yah. May the judgment continue and get worse. Exodus 22, 16 through 17 now. And if a man entice a maid that is not betrothed, and lie with her, he shall surely endow her to be his wife. If her father utterly refuse to give her unto him, he shall pay money according to the dowry of virgins. So this is about protecting women from sexual exploitation. But you got these women who say, oh, the Bible is a tool of the patriarchy. It's a tool to keep women in charge. But yet we got a law here to protect your stupid ass. Whoops-a-daisy. Says if a man seduces a virgin, he's required to marry her if the father agrees, or pay the bride price regardless. She ain't left with nothing. Her value is protected. You hear that, feminists? You hear that? A woman's value it means something in the Most High's eyes. Her purity means something. Now let's talk about how our women, black women, have been sexually exploited throughout history with zero protection or restitution. During slavery, black women were systematically raped by slave masters. This wasn't just individuals acting alone, it was institutional. Enslaved women had no legal recourse. Their children born from these rapes were automatically enslaved following the condition of the mother. The wealth and property of many prominent American families were built on these stolen children and the labor they produced. Thomas Jefferson, one of your cracker presidents, raped Sally Hemings, an enslaved woman, starting when she was about 14. He fathered at least 6 children with her. But did he endow her to be his wife? Did he pay her father? Hell to the no. He kept her and her children enslaved. According to these two verses, 16 and 17, he owed her a bride price and the dignity of marriage, or at a minimum, the payment. Instead, she got a lifetime of bondage. These crackers got hell to pay. Deuteronomy 22, 28 and 29. If a man find a damsel that is a virgin, which is not betrothed, and lay hold on her, and lie with her, and they be found, and the man that lay with her shall give unto the damsel's father 50 shekels of silver, and she shall be his wife, because he hath humbled her. he may not put her away all his days. The law is clear. If you violate a woman, you owe. You can't just walk away. But that's exactly what happened to millions of our women. Raped and discarded. Their children stolen. Their dignity was destroyed. You crackers got hell to pay, baby. In 2020, the comfort women of Korea, which were forced into sexual slavery by the Japanese military during World War II, were still fighting for reparations and official apologies. Many have died waiting for justice. While this example is about Asian women, it shows a global pattern of how corrupt this system is, family. Women of color are sexually exploited by these imperial powers, and restitution is rarely given. For black women specifically, you had the forced sterilization programs in the United States from the 1930s to the 1970s, which targeted poor black women. In the South, it was so common, it was called the Mississippi appendectomy. Women would go in for other procedures and come out sterilized without their consent. Their ability to have children, a fundamental right, was stolen. Where is the restitution for that, crackers? In Brazil, during slavery, black women were raped en masse. The mixing of population was intentional to whiten Brazil. Today, Brazil has the largest population of African descendants outside of Africa, but the legacy of that sexual violence is a society built on rape and exploitation. Where is the accountability, Brazil? In the Caribbean, the same thing happened on every island under European control. Black women were property, used for labor and sexual gratification. The children born from those unions were often sold away. Where's the bride price? Where's the endowment? Where's the justice? So the Most High values the dignity and protection of women, you fucking feminists out there who say the Bible is a man's book. What you got to say about these verses that protect your stupid ass, that protect your daughters, you dummies? When a woman is violated, the Most High said there must be consequences for the man. But these nations built their wealth on the bodies of our women and never paid a fucking dime. That debt is owed, and the Most High is the ultimate enforcer of debts. So trust me, crackers, it's coming. Verse 18, witchcraft. Thou shalt not suffer witch to live. Straight up, no witches, no sorcery. Why? Because it's an abomination, and it opens doors to deception and evil that destroys communities. Now I know this is going to make some of y'all uncomfortable, but we're going to address it. A lot of our people are dabbing in witchcraft today, thinking it's connecting with our ancestors. You saw it in the movie Sinners, or reclaiming our African spirituality, all this voodoo, hoodoo shit. I get it, family. You're trying to find yourself after being stripped of your identity, but going backwards into the pagan practices that got Israel in trouble in the first place ain't the answer. Deuteronomy 18:10-12 says, there shall not be found among you anyone that maketh his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that useth divination, or an observer of times, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yah. And because of these abominations, Yah thy Elohim doth drive them out from before thee. So the Most High drove out the nations from Canaan because of these practices. And when Israel started doing the same things, he scattered us. In parts of Africa today, witch hunts still happen, where people, usually women and children, are accused of witchcraft and murdered. In countries like Tanzania, Ghana, Kenya, and others, these accusations lead to violence. This ain't the Most High's justice. This is chaos and lawlessness, family. But here in the West, you got people romanticizing hoodoo, voodoo, santeria, candomblé, and other practices. Some of these were survival mechanisms during slavery, ways a lot of people tried to maintain some control over their lives. I understand that historically, but we got to be honest. These practices mix the worship of the Most High with pagan elements, and that is syncretism, family, which the Most High hates. 2 Kings 17:33 says, they feared Yah and served their own gods after the manner of the nations whom they carried from thence. This is talking about the Israelites after the Assyrian captivity. They claimed to fear Yah, but were still serving other gods. Sound familiar, black people? You can't serve the Most High and bow down to other spiritual forces. It don't work. Verse 18 here is harsh because witchcraft is spiritual poison. It might seem like you're getting power or answers, but you're opening doors to deception. The Most High wants our exclusive worship and trust. Anything else is adultery. Verse 19, bestiality. Whosoever lie with the beast shall be surely put to death. This one is clear. No bestiality, period. It's an abomination that perverts the natural order and defiles the person in the land. Leviticus 18:22-25 repeats this. Neither shalt thou lie with any beast to defile thyself therewith. Neither shall any woman stand before a beast to lie down thereto. It is confusion. Defile not ye yourselves in any of these things. For in all these the nations are defiled, which I cast out before you, and the land is defiled. Therefore I do visit the iniquity thereof upon it, and the land itself vomited out her inhabitants. The land itself rejects its wickedness. When a nation or people engage in these abominations, the land vomits them out, family, meaning they are removed from that place. Now this might seem like an ancient problem, but perversion is escalating in these last days. We seeing things our grandparents couldn't even imagine being normalized. In some European countries and parts of the U.S., family, there are actual debates about loosening laws around bestiality. In 2013, Germany had to pass a law to ban it again because it had been legal in some forms. Think about that, family. A so-called civilized nation had to recriminalize sex with animals. And these heathen call themselves better than us. Huh? This is what happens when you abandon the Most High's law. You got no foundation, no standard, no line you won't cross. One perversion leads to another. So what the Most High is trying to tell you is that his laws regarding sexual conduct are about boundaries that protect humanity and maintain order. When you cross those boundaries, you don't just hurt yourself. You defile the community and the land, and judgment will come. And then verse 20, Exodus 22, no other gods. He that sacrificeth unto any god, save unto Yah only, he shall be utterly destroyed. This is the foundation. This is the first commandment, family. You serve the Most High exclusively, or you are cut off from Israel. No mixing, no blending, no all paths lead to the same God nonsense. And yet, what do we see among our people today? Folks mixing Christianity with Eastern religions, New Age practices, ancestor worship. They think they're being spiritual or open-minded, but they are violating the first and most important commandment. The Most High is jealous, family. He don't share his glory. He don't accept being one option among many. It's him or nothing, as he said in Exodus 20, 3-5. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them, nor serve them, for I, Yah, thy Elohim, am a jealous Elohim. So now you got the rise of black consciousness today. These movements is beautiful in many ways. Our people waking up, learning history, rejecting white supremacy. But some of these movements lead people away from the Most High and into worshiping Africa itself, or ancient Egyptian gods, or the universe, or so-called energy. You got the Kemetic spirituality, which worships ancient Egyptian deities. It's growing among woke black folks today. They think they're connected to their roots, but Egypt enslaved Israel first. Go read Genesis and Exodus. Egypt represents bondage in the Bible. Why would you go back to the gods of your oppressors, black people? Joshua 24:14-15. Now therefore fear Yah and serve him in sincerity and in truth, and put away the gods which your fathers served on the other side of the flood, and in Egypt, and serve ye Yah. And if it seem evil unto you to serve Yah, choose you this day whom ye will serve. But as for me and my house, we will serve Yah. Joshua told Israel to put away the gods of Egypt. But our people today are picking them back up, thinking it's liberation when it's actually bondage. In Haiti, many people practice voodoo, which mixes Catholicism with West African religious practices. They claim to serve Yah while also serving Iwa, which is the spirits. According to this verse, this is a violation because you can't serve the Most High and other gods. I'm not saying that people are wicked, family. Many are ignorant of the truth, following what was passed down, but the practice itself is contrary to the Most High's law. And it keeps the land under spiritual oppression. That's why we're still struggling in these nations, family, because we refuse to drop these practices. Exclusive worship of the Most High is non-negotiable to him. It's not about being narrow-minded. It's about recognizing that he is the creator, the king, the judge, and he alone deserves our worship. Everything else is a counterfeit, a distraction, a trap. And then you got verse 21 here. Treatment of strangers. Thou shalt neither vex a stranger, nor oppress him, for ye were strangers in the land of Egypt. So here we go. The Most High reminds Israel, don't oppress strangers because you were strangers, foreigners in Egypt. You know what it's like to be mistreated in a land that ain't yours? This is a direct command to have empathy and give fair treatment to those who are foreigners among you. Notice it says among you, meaning strangers who are living in Israel's land under Israel's jurisdiction, not Israel going into other nations and being strangers there. But let's apply this to our people's experience. We've been strangers in every nation we have been scattered to. America, Caribbean, South America, Europe. None of these are our original homeland. And how have we been treated? Oppressed. We have been vexed. We have been exploited. We have been killed. The Most High says, treat the stranger as one of you. Love him as yourself. But these nations did the opposite. You see this in the immigration detention centers in the U.S. Modern day concentration camps. Families are separated. Children are in cages. People dying from neglect and abuse. And many of those detained are black, from Haiti, African countries. These are strangers seeking refuge, and they are being oppressed. In Europe, African migrants trying to escape war and poverty, much of which was caused by European colonization in the first place, are drowning in the Mediterranean Sea. They are locked in detention camps, are sent back to the violence they fled. Where is the compassion, crackers? Where is the obedience to Exodus 22, verse 21? In Libya, after NATO's 2011 intervention, destabilize the damn country over there, black African migrants are being sold in open-air slave markets today. In 2017, CNN exposed this, showing video of black men being auctioned off for a few $100s. These are strangers in Libya trying to get to Europe, and they are being enslaved and brutalized. Where's the outrage? Where's the intervention now? Oh, that's right. There's no oil to steal this time, so nobody cares. I get it. The way you treat a stranger reveals your character and whether you remember your own suffering. Israel is commanded to protect and provide for strangers because we know what oppression feels like. But these nations who oppress us as strangers in their lands will be judged for their cruelty. When the kingdom is restored and Yahushua reigns, the tables will flip, family. Isaiah 14:1-2 says, for the Lord would have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and will set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. And the people shall take them and bring them to their palace. And the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yah for servants and handmaids. They shall take them captives, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. Read that again, family. They shall rule over their oppressors. Recompense is coming, amigos. And now you got the widows and orphans. 22-24, Exodus 22. Ye shall not afflict any widow or fatherless child. If thou afflict them in any wise, and they cry at all unto me, I will surely hear their cry, and my wrath shall wax hot. And I will kill you with the sword, and your wives shall be widows, and your children fatherless. This is one of the most serious warnings in the entire chapter. The Most High has a special concern for widows and fatherless children because they are the most vulnerable. If you oppress them and they cry out to him, he will respond with wrath. Now let's talk about how our widows and fatherless children have been afflicted in these nations today. Mass incarceration. The U.S. has the highest incarceration rate in the world, and black men are imprisoned at nearly 6 times the rate of white men. When these men are locked up, often for non-violent offenses or unjust laws, what happens? Their wives become widows, not by death, but by separation, and their children become fatherless. In 2020, about 1 in 9 black children had a parent in prison. 1 in 9. These children grow up without fathers, struggling in poverty, and the system offers them no support. Instead, they are criminalized, funneled into the school to prison pipeline, and the what? Cycle repeats. Whoop. According to these verses, the cries of these fatherless children and struggling mothers are reaching the Most High, and his wrath is waxing hot. Psalm 10, 14, and skip down to 17 and 18. It says, Thou hast seen it, for thou beholdest mischief and spite. To requite it with thy hand, the poor committeth himself unto thee. Thou art the helper of the fatherless. Skip to 17. Yah, thou hast heard the desire of the humble. Thou wilt prepare their heart. Thou wilt cause thine ear to hear, to judge the fatherless and the oppressed, that the man of the earth may no more oppress. The Most High sees, he hears, and he will judge. And you see the judgment today. Stock market's crashing, the economy's crashing, riots all over the world. Society breaking down, family. In Baltimore, after the death of Freddie Gray in police custody back in 2015, family, the city erupted. Why? Because the community was tired of police killing their sons, fathers, and brothers, creating more widows and fatherless children. Freddie Gray's death was just a breaking point after decades of oppression. The Most High heard the cries of those mothers, and judgment is coming to that wicked system. In Palestine, Israeli forces, and yes, the people calling themselves Jews in Israel today, are not the true Israelites. But that's another sermon. They have killed thousands of them Palestinians over there. Many of them children. They've created widows and orphans by the thousands. But even closer to home, for our people, in the Congo, during the rubber slavery under Belgium, and the ongoing conflicts fueled by these Western nations stealing the resources from that land, millions of widows and fatherless children were created. Their cries have been going up to the Most High for over a century. All that judgment stacking up for these countries, boy, these crackers, boy. It's going to be hell to pay. In Jamaica, gang violence, often fueled by weapons trafficked from the United States, leaves women widowed and children fatherless at alarming rates they don't want to talk about. And the system over there offers no real support, just more oppression. So the lesson is, you don't fuck with widows and fatherless children, period. The Most High takes their cries personally, and the judgment he promises is severe. Those who oppress them will have their wives widowed and their children fatherless. It is reciprocal judgment. These nations have created millions of widows and fatherless children among our people. The debt is owed and payment coming, family. You see it little by little here and there. And now you got lending without usury in verse 25. If thou lend money to any of my people that is poor by thee, thou shalt not be to him as an usurer, neither shalt thou lay upon him usury. Don't charge interest to your poor brother. If he's struggling and you lend him money to help him get back on his feet, you don't profit off his poverty. You help him in love. But what do these nations do? Predatory lending, payday loans. In black communities across America, payday loan companies set up shop on every corner. Y'all see them to check cash in place. Title loans and all this nonsense. They offer quick cash to people in desperate situations, then charge interest rates of 300%, 400, sometimes over 600% APR. People borrow 500 and end up owing thousands. It's modern day usury, and it's destroying our people. Nehemiah 5:7, and then skip to 10 and 11. Then I consulted with myself, and I rebuked the nobles and the rulers, and said unto them, ye exact usury, every one of his brothers. Skip down. I likewise, and my brethren and my servants might exact of them money and corn. I pray you, let us leave off this usury. Restore, I pray you, to them, even this day, their lands, their vineyards, their olive yards, and their houses, also the 100th part of the money, and of the corn, the wine, and the oil, that ye exact of them. Even in Nehemiah's time, there were Israelites exploiting their own brothers with usury. Nehemiah rebuked them and demanded they restore what they'd taken and stop the practice. Today you got subprime mortgages leading up to that 2008 financial crisis that happened. I remember 2008. Banks specifically targeted Black, Latino communities with subprime mortgages. These are loans with high interest rates and predatory terms. Even when Black families qualified for standard loans, they were steered into subprime ones. When the housing market crashed, Black wealth was devastated. We lost homes, savings, generational wealth. Meanwhile, the banks got bailed out by the government. Where is the justice? The International Monetary Fund, the IMF, what they call it, and the World Bank, they give loans out to Africa, right? In these Caribbean nations, full of Israelites, with conditions that cripple their economies. These countries end up owing more than they borrowed, and they are forced to cut social services, sell off resources, and remain in perpetual debt. It's usury on a global scale. The Most High said, don't do this to your poor brother. But these institutions make their wealth by keeping poor nations enslaved to debt. Haiti is a perfect example. After the revolution, France demanded Haiti pay reparations for freeing themselves. Ain't that a bitch? Haiti paid that debt, which was unjust from the start, for over a century, and it crippled the nation's development. Today, Haiti is one of the poorest countries in the Western Hemisphere, while France is wealthy. That's the fruit of usury and oppression, family. But France, you fucking crackers, y'all got judgment coming. That's why y'all got riots all over the place. They burning y'all shit down. And all praises, may they burn that city to the fucking ground. May they burn the whole country to the ground. Tear down that bullshit ass Eiffel Tower. So the lesson is, lending should be about helping your brother, not profiting off his struggle. Usury creates a cycle of poverty and dependency that is almost impossible to break. So the Most High's economic system is designed to prevent this, but man's system is built on it. That's the difference. 26 to 27, collateral. If thou at all take thy neighbor's raiment to pledge, thou shalt deliver it unto him by that sun goeth down, for that is his covering only. It is his raiment for his skin. Wherein shall he sleep? And it shall come to pass when he crieth unto me that I will hear, for I am gracious. If you take a poor man's cloak as collateral for a loan, you got to give it back before the night falls so he has something to keep warm and sleep in. Why? Because the Most High is gracious and cares about people's basic needs. But everybody keeps calling the Most High cruel and evil. But look at these protections he's got. For the fatherless, the widows, for women, for the poor. This verse, it shows that even in business transactions, compassion is required. You don't leave a man without his basic necessities just because he owes you money. Look at these evictions. In America, even during the COVID-19 pandemic, family, landlords and corporations were trying to evict people who couldn't pay rent. People were losing their shelter, their basic covering in the middle of a health crisis. According to these two verses, If you take someone's covering, their home, and they cry out to the Most High, he will hear. And he's going to hold you accountable for your lack of compassion. That's why judgment is on all these nations, family. These corporations, all of them who profit off of this, who have no compassion in their hearts. The Most High got judgment for them. And it's going to come. And it's going to come swiftly as a thief in the night. It's just going to fall on them. Deuteronomy 24:12-13 says, and if the man be poor, thou shalt not sleep with his pledge. In any case, thou shalt deliver him the pledge again when the sun goeth down, that he may sleep in his own raiment, and bless thee. And it shall be righteousness unto thee before Yah, the Elohim. See, it repeats itself. You are supposed to return the pledge so the man can be blessed, and so that it counts as righteousness for you. But these landlords and banks don't give a fuck about righteousness. They care about profit and profit only. In South Africa, post-apartheid, many black South Africans were promised land reform and housing. But instead, land grabs and evictions continue. People are left without shelter while the land remains in the hands of the wealthy, often white farmers and corporations. In Brazil's favelas, residents built homes on land they didn't officially own. Now, as cities gentrify, they're being forcibly evicted without compensation. Their covering is being ripped away, and they are left homeless. Where's the compassion? Most High says business and economics must be balanced with compassion. You can't operate purely on profit and legal rights while ignoring human needs. The Most High himself holds those who show no mercy accountable because he himself is gracious and expects his people to reflect that. In verse 28, it says, thou shalt not revile the gods, nor curse the ruler of thy people. So first, let me clarify here. Gods here, Hebrew, Elohim, refers to judges or those in positions of authority, not pagan deities. The Most High is saying, don't curse or disrespect those in leadership positions among your people. But here's the key, the ruler of thy people, not just any ruler, your people, Israel's leader, black leaders. Acts 23:5, then said Paul, I wish not, brethren, that he was the high priest, for it is written, thou shalt not speak evil of the ruler of thy people. Paul acknowledged this law even when he was before corrupt leadership. But notice he said ruler of thy people, meaning Israelite leadership, not Gentile oppressors. That does not mean we can't call out wicked leaders who oppress Israel. Look at the prophets. They called out kings to their faces. Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, Amos. They all rebuked Israel's corrupt leadership. But there's a difference between righteous rebuke and disrespectful reveling. You can call out wickedness without being out of order. Now, as for these rulers of these Gentile nations we scattered in, they ain't the ruler of thy people. We don't owe them the same level of respect as we would Israelite leadership, which we don't even have right now. So I don't give a fuck about your presidents, United States. I don't give a shit about your prime ministers, Canada and European countries. I don't give a fuck about your white crackers. During the Civil Rights Movement, leaders like Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X called out the U.S. government's wickedness. Were they wrong? No. They were speaking truth to power. Malcolm said, we declare our right on this earth to be a man, to be a human being, to be respected as a human being, to be given the rights of a human being in this society, on this earth, in this day, which we intend to bring into existence by any means necessary. That ain't reveling, family. That is demanding justice. So the lesson is respect authority, but don't bow to wicked authority. And when leadership fails to protect and serve the people righteously, they must be called out, because the Most High holds leaders to a higher standard, as is said in James 3:1. And so should we. 29-30. The first fruits and the firstborn here. Thou shalt not delay to offer the first of thy ripe fruits and of thy liquors. Thy firstborn of thy sons shalt thou give unto me. Likewise shalt thou do with thine oxen and with thy sheep. 7 days it shall be with this dam, with his dam. On the 8th day thou shalt give it to me. The first fruits belong to Yah, family. The first and the best of your harvest, your livestock, and yes, even your sons. Now, before anybody panics, this don't mean literal child sacrifice, family. The firstborn son was redeemed through a sacrifice. The point is that the first belongs to Yah, symbolizing that everything comes from him and is dedicated to him. Proverbs 3:9-10 says, honor Yah with thy substance and with the first fruits of all thine increase. So shall thy barns be filled with plenty, and thy presses shall burst out with new wine. When you give the Most High the first and the best, he blesses the rest. How many of us give the Most High our leftovers? We pay all our bills, buy what we want, and then if there's nothing left, we think about giving. That's backwards. The principle of first fruits means you give to the Most High first. Your time, your resources, your energy, not what's left over. In many black churches, even though they teaching false doctrine, there's still an understanding of tithing and giving. But the problem is the money often goes to building mega churches and enriching pastors instead of helping the poor and the widows, which is what it's supposed to do. But even with that corruption, the principle is sound. Give to the Most High first. First fruits is about priority and trust. You're saying, Yah, you come first, and I trust you to provide for the rest. When Israel stops giving first fruits, it's a sign they have stopped trusting Yah and started trusting in their own strength or in other gods. And that's what you see with our people out here today. That's why we on the bottom. We continue to give all our shit to everybody else but him. We seek man's knowledge. We don't seek Yah's word, which is why all our lives are backwards and why we're struggling. In the final verse, 31, holiness and separation here, family. And ye shall be holy, men unto me. Neither shall ye eat any flesh that is torn of beasts in the field. Ye shall cast it to the dogs. Holiness, set apart, different. That's what Israel is called to be. Even in what you eat, there's a standard. Don't eat anything torn by wild animals, which would likely be unclean and diseased. It's about maintaining physical and spiritual purity. Leviticus 11:44-45 says, for I am Yah the Elohim. Ye shall therefore sanctify yourselves, and ye shall be holy, for I am holy. For I am Yah that bringeth you up out of the land of Egypt to be your Elohim. Ye shall therefore be holy, for I am holy. Holiness is not an option. It's a command, and it's tied to your identity as Israelites. Our people have been fed poison today, physically and spiritually. Physically here, we get the worst food. Fast food on every corner. Processed junk in our neighborhood. Food deserts where fresh produce is hard to find. We got the highest rates of diabetes, hypertension, heart disease. We eating food that's torn, damaged, toxic, and it's killing us. Spiritually, we have been fed false doctrines in these churches. Prosperity gospel. White Jesus worship doctrines of men that make void the word of Yah, as Yahushua said in Mark 7:13. We got a food apartheid today. In cities like Detroit, Chicago, and Baltimore, these black neighborhoods are intentionally underserved by grocery stores. But there's a liquor store and a church's chicken on every block. That's not an accident, family. It is systematic. The food is torn. It's killing us slowly. And we accept it because we think that's all we deserve or all we got access to. In South Africa, after the apartheid, black communities, they still suffer from food insecurity and poor nutrition. Meanwhile, the white-owned farms produce plenty, but the wealth and resources don't reach the people who need it most. So the lesson is, holiness means separation from that which defiles. Don't eat the poison they feed you, physically or spiritually. Demand better. Seek the most high standard and be set apart. So family, we just went through Exodus 22. And if your eyes ain't open by now, I don't know what else to tell you. This whole chapter is a mirror that is held up to these nations, and they failed every single test. Restitution for theft failed. They stole our bodies, our labor, our land, our culture, and paid nothing. Justice for self-defense failed. They criminalized us for defending ourselves while justifying every murder they commit against us. Protection of property failed. They destroyed our communities, our environment, our wealth, and walked away. Accountability for negligence failed. They poisoned our water, our air, our food, and shrugged. Dignity for women failed. They raped our women for centuries and never acknowledged the dead. No witchcraft. We've been led into spiritual confusion, mixing truth with lies. No other gods. We've been taught to worship a European Jesus and bow to the gods of materialism, entertainment, and yourself. Fair treatment of strangers failed. We've been oppressing strangers in every land we've ever been to. Protection of widows and orphans failed. They've created millions of widows and fatherless children and offered no support to our people. No usury failed. They have built entire economies on predatory lending and debt slavery. Compassion in business failed. They evict, foreclose, and exploit without mercy. Holiness and separation. We've been fed poison and told to be grateful. But here's the good news, family. Isaiah 1:24-27 says, "Therefore saith Yah, the Lord of hosts, the mighty one of Israel, I will see. I will ease me of thine adversaries, and avenge me of mine enemies. And I will turn my hand upon thee, and purely purge away thy dross, and take away all thy tin. And I will restore thy judges as at the first, and thy counselors as at the beginning. Afterward thou shalt be called the city of righteousness, the faithful city. Zion shall be redeemed with judgment, and her converts with righteousness." The Most High is going to ease himself of his adversaries. That means he's going to avenge his enemies, family. He's going to purge Israel and restore us to righteous leadership. We're going to possess what's ours, family. The kingdom will be the Most High's, and those who oppressed us are going to be stubble, as said in Obadiah. Burned up, none remaining. So yeah, these nations owe a debt they can never pay in full, but the Most High keeps perfect records. And when Yahushua returns, every account will be settled. Until then, wake up, repent, turn back to the Most High and his laws. Stop eating the poison. Stop bowing to the false gods. Stop trusting in these wicked systems. You are Israel. Act like it. Shalom. I pray you guys enjoyed this lesson. I know it was long, but it was good, wasn't it? I pray you guys are spiritually edified. Y'all willing, next week, be back with Exodus 23 to continue these laws. I hope you guys are learning something and see how these nations are failing every single one of these. So what happens when you don't follow his laws? Family, this is what happens. So I pray you guys have enjoyed your Sabbath. Have a blessed week in the name of Yah. And I'll see you back next week. I love you, family.
Everybody talk about judgment, but nobody want to look in the mirror. You running from the truth like you can hide from Yah, but the fire don't start with them. It starts with us. Israel, it's time to face it. At the nations, talking about their sin, but your hands ain't clean. You still blending in. You act like you righteous, got the fringes on your shirt, but your heart stay cold and your motives all dirt. Hypocrite spirit, love to shout, love to teach, but when the lights off, do you practice what you preach? You gossip and slander, you envy your kin, forgetting it's Israel where judgment begin. You brag on your lineage, you boast in your tribe, but you ain't impressed with your bloodline pride. He want obedience, faith, and a contrite heart, not a fake outward show, playing a part. You sit in the temple, but your mind in the street. You talk about the law, but you're walking complete. You love to correct, but you hate correction. You quick with the curse, but you rough in reflection. Woo!
Judgment begins at home. Don't point the finger, look at your own. Let the fire burn, let the truth be known. Israel, repent before the seeds are sown. Judgment begins at home. We set the standard, we set the tone. Get your heart right, get your mind grown. God's eyes on us, we can't atone with stone.
You quick to condemn, but you slow to forgive. You say about life, but you hate how you live. You fast for applause, you pray for the show, but when your brother need love, you the first to say no. You hold on to grudges, you plot and you scheme. You sabotage others just to push your own dream. You hide behind doctrine, you twist up the scroll, but your actions expose what's deep in your soul. Yeah, see the secrets, the mask and the lies. He's sifting the wheat, he exposing the spies. No scapegoats allowed, no blame to the rest. It's Israel in the furnace, he purifying the best. Yeah, you want dominion, you want the crown, but you can't humble down, you just tear others down. Confess and repent, let the pride be slain, cause judgment is here, and it starts in the flame. Yeah!
Judgment begins at home. Don't point the finger, look at your own. Let the fire burn, let the truth be known. Israel, repent before the seeds are sown. Judgment begins at home. We set the standard, we set the tone. Get your heart right, get your mind grown. God's eyes on us, we can't atone with stone.
It ain't about the nations, they don't even know the law. But you got the covenant, you got the light, you got the promise and the curse. You got the blood of the prophets in your veins. You can't blame nobody when the hammer falls. Get your house in order, Israel. The fire is here, yo!